We begin tonight with Buck Sexton, co-host of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Ana Kasparian, executive producer and host of the Young Turks. Glad to see both of you. Buck, start with you. Why are we being nice to China now?
Why are we being nice to China now?
That's what President Trump said. We are going to be very nice.
That's the question? Oh, well, okay. Yeah, that's Trump being Trump, which is that he sees this as a negotiation where he's going to say things that get media attention, but the real work is being done behind closed doors. It's being done by people like Scott Bessent and others. Sure. And I think that the desire to, I mean, even me sitting here like, wait, we're being nice to China? Trust me, we're actually not being nice to China, but he's leaving open the door in a very Trumpian fashion of getting some kind of better trade deal. Look, I would say this, if we're going to jump into China right away, in the first administration, people were complaining a lot about a trade war, and then people paid more attention when it came to China and recognized that we were already in a trade war, one that had been lasting for a long time. It was just a one-way war. China was stealing intellectual property. China was breaking every agreement of the World Trade Organization. China was doing all the stuff they promised they wouldn't do, and Biden didn't really change those policies. So I think that's such that's
a good point.
A vote of confidence for the continuation of at least the China.
Do you think I'm wrong when I said, though, that Trump backed off without getting anything? The whole thing was we're going to 145% tariffs. There was all this stuff. Then Scott Bessent said this can't continue today. He backed off, and then Trump in the Oval Office backed off. What did he get for all that? What's China doing for us now?
Well, he's trying to shake things up, and he's looking at a system that he thinks has been rotting for a long time and that has hurt particularly working-class Americans, the Rust Belt. You can even go back to his messaging in the 2016 campaign, by the way, where he actually had a fair amount of crossover with Bernie Sanders on the abandoning of American workers and what that had done, and globalization and some of the way the trade agreements play into this. So, look, I think it's too early to judge how well or not well any of this has gone. The market fluctuates. That's nonsense. It's not anything that anybody should be worried about in any systemic way. And I think that addressing these things is going to require a little bit of patience. He's got 90 days. And by the way, if he's wrong, they're going to get slaughtered in the midterms. And we all know that. So it's not like there isn't some check on this, but I would not bet against Trump.
No, that has been a safe bet over the past 10 years. Anna, are we to believe, and I think that was really an important quote from this fella in McDowell County, we're already so poor, we're already so stressed in this country and in this state, at this point, we won't hardly notice. Have Democrats lost any chance to win back working-class Americans?
I mean, they certainly have if they refuse to listen to these folks and what they've been dealing with for decades in America. Like, I actually have a lot of empathy for that viewpoint because these are Americans who have been completely neglected for such a long time. And look, while, you know, there's a lot of negative commentary among politicians in regard to China these days, we can't lose sight of the fact that our political elite in America created this problem in the first place. They were very happy to ship jobs, allow corporations to exploit cheap labor abroad, especially in China. And basically, as American wages remained stagnant for decades as a result of this, as Americans lost jobs, as the Rust Belt was gutted, all we heard was, well, you're getting your cheap goodies, right? We're a consumer country. And we turned into a service economy where most of the jobs available to American workers are in the service sector. And so, again, I feel a lot of empathy for the folks that we heard from in the videos that you played. At the same time, I think, you know, tariffs make a lot of sense if you do them strategically. And I think Trump kind of bit off more than he could chew by implementing these massive reciprocal tariffs across the board, then backed away from them. By that point, I think President Xi in China realized, okay, I can call his bluff and I'm not going to cave to Trump's demands. He didn't cave to Trump's demands. And I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing a softening of Trump's tone. But do I think that he could move forward and implement tariffs that make sense? Absolutely. He did it in his first term in regard to China.
Buck, Buck, I think Anna makes a great point here, that Trump has softened unilaterally. The things he said he was going to do to China, he's not doing anymore. We on this program laid into why it is so important to confront China. Among the many things we put up, this picture, and we've been showing it to our viewers for 3 years, It is the trains taking the Uyghurs to concentration camps where they are going to be either turned into slave labor, they are going to be tortured, killed, or all of the above. That's China on the left, Nazi Germany on the right. Again, I don't understand, and I'm trying to figure out, rather than just not betting against Trump, why all of a sudden Trump is backing off from China without getting anything meaningful in return.
Well, because it's still ongoing. The negotiation is something that it's a live deal, if you will. He's given this 90-day pause, for example, so that he can try to push and he can try to do what he thinks is going to bring about the best results. It's a little bit like we're judging. So
you don't think Xi's? Okay, so hold on. I'm just going to put a bow. Hold on. Let me put a bow on this. You don't think Xi's emboldened tonight? You think I'm wrong in that?
No, I don't think that Xi thinks for 1 second that he knows what Donald Trump is going to wake up tomorrow and say or tweet or anything else. And by the way, I talk to people, as I know you do too, who are around Trump day in and day out in this White House and advising him on all of this. And I'm texting with them and I'm talking to them. And, you know, Trump is Trump, right? So Xi Jinping has not figured out the way to deal with Donald Trump. He has been calling out China for its behavior on trade for a long time. By the way, you brought up another point about the Uyghurs and the concentration camps. Of course, that's all horrific. It is real. The human rights abuses are appalling. And to the point that Anna made a few minutes ago, elite capture in this country, particularly of multinational corporations, has been so effective by China that they worry about, you know, being woke here. But as long as slave labor is making iPhones and the Uyghurs are being herded into concentration camps and it's keeping the prices of smartphones and sneakers down, big companies have no problem with that, right? So there's been a huge amount of hypocrisy from the people who are...
Right, and the Chinese were trolling us, putting out the videos of Americans in shoe factories and everything else, trying to make fun of Americans. And I'm going to give you the last word here.
But can I just one thing about Trump? And I don't want to box out Anna. I actually thought she made some excellent points. I just really quickly, he's the only one that has been willing to do anything about this, right? So for us to sit here and say Republican and Democrat for 30 years have gotten their lunch eaten by China, he's actually trying. Sorry.
100%. No, agreed. We said that too. A bipartisan cave against China. Anna, to you for the last point here. Are Americans, you think, willing to endure the pain? Chinese people don't get a say in this. Xi Jinping can make them endure the pain. The Americans have to be willing to confront China. Do you see that appetite yet?
Honestly, I don't know. You got to keep in mind that the electorate voted in Trump specifically because of their economic frustrations with inflation during the Biden administration. So I think that there is a portion of Trump's base that will support him no matter what. But I'm seeing people turn on him, people who voted for him, because they don't have any wiggle room in their budget. And so the idea of things getting more expensive, even if it's just in the short term, is just going to be devastating for them. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. And quite frankly, I think he did soften his tone specifically because he's looking out for those people in his base who are worried about the pain and suffering that additional inflation will bring into their lives.
Well, additional inflation, and then also watching whatever investments they have and that safety net diminish. Hey, Buck, Anna, great conversation with both of you. Thank you. Appreciate it as always. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.